right, welcome back. We're learning more about the woman who recorded LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling's comments, the racist comments. V. Stiviano is speaking out in an interview with ABC's Barbara Walters, saying she doesn't believe Sterling is a racist at heart. She also says she's not Sterling's girlfriend, but rather his, quote, right-hand man, his wingman, who got paid sometimes off the books. Du Jour magazine says Sterling is also talking about V. Stiviano. It quotes the Clippers owner as saying, quote, "I wish I had paid her off," end quote. Sterling has been banned from the NBA because of those racist remarks caught on tape. And NBA owners are meeting next week about trying to force him to sell the team. Well, some players are now talking about a boycott until Sterling is out. But Donald Sterling is no stranger to the courtroom. He is widely regarded as one of the most litigious owners in professional sports, and he's likely to take legal action if the NBA does expel him, or at least force him to sell. Our legal guys are here to talk about that. Avery Friedman, a civil rights attorney and law professor, joining us from Cleveland, and Richard Herman, a New York criminal defense attorney and law professor, joining us from Las Vegas. All right, gentlemen, good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Okay, Richard, let's begin with you. You say the NBA has set itself up for a battle royale in the courtroom with Sterling. Why? Because of his reputation as being very litigious?
No, because of the facts of this case. That's why, Fred.
Okay,
this was a
explain.
private...
What's there or what's missing in your view?
Right.
Okay, it's the universal condemnation for racism should be applauded. What he said was racist, it was wrong. But this was said in a private setting, Fred. It was said in the private confines of his house.
Why does that matter?
Not expected it to be published to the world. If all of our conversations were recorded and published to the world, everyone's up in arms over the NSA. Isn't that similar to what's going on here?
Oh,
this Adam Silver, in my opinion, is a spineless amateur puppet.
Holy
they went
smokes.
overboard. They went overboard in this. If you took the secret recordings of every owner, player, and coach in the NBA, I'd be very interested to hear what their inner thoughts were. Stiviano got on last night, Barbara Walters, and lifted a bombshell. She said, in her opinion, he is not a racist, and these tape snippets were taken out of context. This is a mistake. You're going to see breach of contract, invasion of privacy, antitrust, everything under the sun, and he deserves to bring these lawsuits because it's outrageous.
But it's interesting because that's her story. That's her story now, that she doesn't believe he's a racist, but there was some impetus to recording it in the first place, whether she was an archivist or not. Avery, that she recorded it in private conversation. Let's tackle that one first. Is that a problem? Because he revealed himself, but he thought it was a private conversation. Now it's, potentially costing him the whole team?
Unfortunately, it really doesn't matter today. The fact is that most states don't even require consent of both of the parties. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. By the way, she's an archivist, I guess, because of her academic credentials, along with, as she put it yesterday, his silly bunny and his wingman, whatever else. It's
silly
goofy. The fact is, he should have anticipated it. He talks about, I should have paid her off. What he really meant to say is, I should have entered into an agreement, provided her funds and this property if she kept her mouth shut. Well, it didn't happen. As smart as the guy thinks he is, he let that happen. And there is no basis for antitrust. There is no breach of contract.
Oh, really?
He may try to tie it up. But ultimately, Donald Sterling is going nowhere.
And when you say he may potentially try to tie it up, meaning, does this have something to do with the divorce proceedings? If there's with the divorce proceedings, possibly this is, communal property between he and the wife, and if and until the divorce is resolved, no one can have ownership except the Sterlings.
Fred,
well, first of all, there's an arbitration clause. Secondly, if he tries to do that, hooks up with his lovely wife and uses a divorce, no court on earth is going to buy that sham. It's a fraud. And ultimately, while he may be able to jam it up in the short term, Frederica, there's no way any of those sort of claims are going to survive.
And then, so then, Richard, okay, go ahead with your point quickly, Richard, before
I'm just saying, this is unprecedented in the history of the NBA. Unprecedented, let alone the actions of Kobe Bryant.
Trying to force somebody to let go of their ownership. That's the unprecedented
First of all, a lifetime suspension is unprecedented for an owner in the
Well,
NBA. And
it's
secondly, to
authorized.
compel him to sell. You know, in the NBA
It's authorized.
Constitution, it's not authorized. There is not a morals clause for grounds for termination of an owner in the NBA Constitution. It's not there. I'm telling you, Fred, this is going to be hotly litigated. And Donald, listen.
So
Call me,
even
Donald.
if, so it sounds like
here.
Richard, you're
You
saying
think he'll
even
win
if
that
the
case?
owners, Richard, you're saying even if the owners say we vote that he must sell, the NBA as a league does not have the legal right to actually force him to sell. They can't do it
I don't
legally. It
believe-
would be challenged, you're saying.
I don't believe they do, Fred, especially in light of the interview that was given. This woman, half a century difference in age, by the way, archivist,
what?
working for him, got $1.8 million real estate, two
Right.
Bentleys, other cars for her services.
Right.
In any event,
Okay.
and by the way, she stayed there for 3 years and didn't leave for racism. There are no allegations that he was racist in his
Not even the
ownership
issue.
of the
Not even the
Clippers.
issue
Every
here.
one of his players are multimillionaires by him. He was
It
set
has
up for his
nothing to do
second,
with the case. Nothing.
his second lifetime achievement award by the NAACP, which
Rescinded.
should not
properly
return.
be revoked. Which should properly
No,
be revoked.
they did not revoke his contributions. They kept those.
Well, they're
this is
apparently
outrageous.
going
What
to
are you
return
picking on the
them.
NAACP,
I know, they're
picking on the NAACP because of what Sterling did.
There are lots of
Makes no
directions that
sense.
this case is already taking. Oh, gentlemen, always good to see you. Thanks so much, Avery, Richard. We still cannot
too.
get enough of you. I'm sorry we only have this. But hey, then there's next weekend. Maybe we'll
That's
see you
right.
again, and we'll have more
Yes.
time devoted to
See you
Boo.
soon.
All right, gentlemen.